Three, two, one. Oh,
Hello, everyone. This is Quest Unplayed. I am co-host of Quest Unplayed, George, and today's podcast is joined by Anthony,
hi everyone.
Zach,
Hello.
and we have another guest, Aldric.
Hey guys, how you
Uh,
doing?
Good, good. Thank you. Before we begin, this podcast is sponsored by Minimap, your ultimate gaming hub and a gaming companion app. Sync your game accounts, make your own game collection, connect with other gamers, and do anything and everything about gaming. And we will be playing that sponsor video real fast because everybody loves it. I do. Yay! So, what do you feel about the music, Aldric? Was that a good music for for an ad?
Well, you know what? I I actually didn't hear any music. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh, you
Well,
missed the best
yeah,
part then. Okay,
yeah.
I'll send you
Actually,
both. So making sure that we are vibing to the same music. Yeah, but anyways, on Minimap this week, we still have the Metaphor Fantasio giveaway event and the Starseed Asnia Trigger gift card event. So if you guys are interested, please participate. Zach and Anthony said yes.
I'll do it.
Okay, so could you tell us a little bit about your game, Aldric, and yourself a little bit?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. First off, thanks for inviting me. My name is Eldrick, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mixed Realms. So we are an independent game studio based here in Singapore. Um, about 20 over men in our studio. We started with a very small team of four, and 13Z is our fourth game. So we launched the studio in 2016. We started with a VR game called Sorrento VR. If you play VR, I think you will know that it's one of the OG games known for very visceral, very bold kind of action locomotion in VR that nobody wanted to attempt at that time because they are saying that you're buff in your VR headsets. But we said screw that. We decided to give people an experience like a superhero, a cyber ninja, where you can do backflips and somersaults and all that. Since then, we've been building action games. So 13Z is our fourth game to date, and following from our tradition of creating mainly action games. Um, but instead of a VR game this time, we wanted to make a flat game that would also translate well to VR if we decide to bring it there. Um, and the key reason is because, we, as a studio and as creative people, we do want to give ourselves some fun, like, in fact, a lot of fun when we're building our projects. We don't want to get stuck to any one platform or medium. And I think 13Z gave us the opportunity to express our creative freedom and love for action in another fashion this time round. With regards to the concepts, so we started off building an action game, and we wanted to build a roguelike because we want to give our players a lot of replayability. And then we have to sort of like reverse engineer and think about what kind of theme that would probably make sense for a roguelike action game. And so we were looking around at our pets. So I have two cats.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and, and some of us have dogs. And then we were looking at them, and then somebody was saying, hey, You know what? Um, like why isn't the cat in the like the 12 zodiacs? So I'm not sure how well acquainted you guys are. I guess a couple of you are Asians, so you might be familiar with the Eastern zodiacs theme. So it's slightly different from the Chinese to the Vietnamese to the Korean and Japanese, but the idea is that there are 12 animals in these Eastern zodiac, sort
Oh.
of like like Western zodiacs. You have like the Scorpio and all that. The Chinese would have their, depending on which culture you talk about. But for the Chinese,
Mm.
which I am, we don't have the cat in the zodiac, in the 12 zodiac. So we are thinking, hey, like I have two cats, why aren't they in the zodiac? And then we thought, wouldn't it be cool to come up with a concept where they're looking for 13 zodiac, and so it's a kind of tournament, and it gives people an
Mm.
excuse to enter your animal, your favorite animal spirit, into the tournaments, and then do it over and over and over again until you get the 13th seats. So so that's basically where the concept came about. And we
Ah.
also thought that it'll be very cool to if you know the Chinese zodiac fable, you will know that there are some stories behind how, for example, why the rat is the first in the zodiac and not
Mhm.
the dragon.
Right,
You
right.
know, typically understood as the most powerful mythical being on planet Earth. And why isn't the dragon first? So there's stories like that that we thought we could romanticize and take some creative freedom around, and we would put it into 13Z. So 13Z basically means 13th zodiac. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Seriously, I had not thought of that in that way because I was just wondering like why is it 13Z, and then now it makes all sense because I mean I'm as a Korean myself, I know the 12 zodiac and I'm dragon by the way, but
Oh, you
well I
are?
know yeah it depends on like the year you were born.
I
I
guess
have
I'm the snake.
If we're going by the Chinese zodiac, I'm the monkey. Which
nice. Okay.
So I'm a snake as well.
Oh, nice.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah.
Two snakes
Hi,
and
high
dragon.
five.
So yeah, so the cat could be the 13th zodiac then. Okay, that makes total sense. I know Zach
Yeah.
has some cats, and he's also a cat lover. And actually, quite frankly, Zach's cat Bailey was our first guest appearance of this podcast. She,
she's never been on since.
yes, she's
She just
never been
got
on.
she got a big head, and she said, "You know what? I don't need it." And I was like, "Okay, big star."
Yeah. Yes. That
One
really happened.
podcast, it gets to their head.
Yeah. So wow, thanks for the detailed explanation of like how the studio came, into this came into developing this game. Like, I mean, it's still in beta test. I know that it's still in beta testing, but it looks fantastic. And I know one of our creators have played it, and she wanted to really come to the show, but she couldn't because of her migraine. But yeah. She gave me a couple questions that she wanted to ask. So, Ali, don't worry, I got you covered. Yeah.
I gotta say before we go on too, I've actually played a game in VR that made me throw up several times. And I told my friend, I'm like, "Why are we playing this?" Like I was getting nauseous. I didn't know it was possible. I was like, "Grr." So good job.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think like myself, when I first played a VR game, I had to lie down for an hour. It's tough. It's not easy getting used to VR games, and
Mm,
I think a lot of people still experience it. Yeah, but and that's why we wanted to make a game that's friendly for
mm,
everyone. And if we bring 13Z to VR, I think you will get an experience where it's not buff inducing. We try it out on a lot of people who have not tried VR for the first time, and they could get used to it. It's sort of like you play a flat game in a 3D environment. That's how it basically feels like, and you can look around. And later we'll talk about the graphics for 13Z. But I guess the idea we're trying to give is that you get to enjoy the environment and the action without getting too involved so that you don't throw up.
Well, to be honest, I actually have to lie down for like 30 minutes after playing any like first-person shooter games. It doesn't even have to be VR. Like if I just play, I know if it like, especially I think when I was playing The Last of Us, I had to play. I played like 15 minutes and then lie down for 40 minutes. 15 minutes, 40. I have to do that. Overwatch doesn't give me that because it's not like realistic graphic. But if the graphic is too realistic, I just get like, I don't know, motion sickness.
Do you know that when I play games, sometimes I don't play with motion blur on? I have to turn it off.
Because you also
I can't do that motion blur when it goes that you turn it to the left and right.
Right.
It makes me like dizzy or something. So I always turn it off.
Yeah.
I do the thing if I jump from high heights that it feels like my stomach is like I'm really actually jumping. So I'm like until I land, and I'm like, it's a video game. Stop being a pansy.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, thank you
I
for
actually, yeah.
no, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
No,
Magic,
I,
yeah.
I was just going to say that, I had the same experience when I was playing this game. I think is it Mirror Edge, or I can't remember. Is it Mirror Edge? It's a girl. She does a lot of
Yeah.
parkour.
Yes.
Yeah, when I jumped, and it was just on the iPad, I felt my stomach literally dropping. Yeah, it took a long time for me to get used to it. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in. Sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting
No,
you.
no. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, no, yeah.
You interrupt as much as you want, sir.
Yes. This is all you. We're just here to listen to your story.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I think when I invite guests here because we love hearing their stories. And also our next step would be to take the gamer type quiz, which we do with all the guests. I don't want to.
It's super fun.
Yes, it's pretty fun. So this is the gamer type quiz, and I'll be reading the questions, and you just have to answer it, and I'll click it. Are you ready, Aldric?
Okay, fire away.
Okay. So it's finally the weekend after a long, tiring work week. You play video game together, or you need quality time alone.
Well, I can't say neither, right? Because is that out of the question, or like, do I have to pick one of the two?
You have to pick one of these. If you have to. If you
Okay,
have to.
okay. I need to spend some quality game time alone.
Okay. The new game that just releases in midnight, but a friend is urging me to play with.
It's not my cup of the new game that just released. Okay, probably the first one.
First one is not up my tea.
Yeah.
You're thinking about joining a community with strict terms to get information. First,
Yeah. Okay. First one as well. From self-introduction to attendance check. Too much for me.
okay. Before you buy a game,
Yeah. If the game looks interesting, I trust my own instinct and make a purchase.
nice. If someone is watching me playing a game before behind,
Actually neither, but I think it would be the first.
okay.
Like,
Number 6, you're playing a newly released game for the first time.
the second.
No, the game seems to be similar to the one. So we skip the tutorial.
The guy looks. Okay, that person looks suspicious, but I need to start collecting evidence first.
Yes, that's what you need. Evidence.
Yeah, in order to equip the room, you have to return to the lobby.
Yes.
Yeah, please wait a moment. I go back to the lobby to equip the room.
Okay, please wait a moment. During gameplay.
Okay, correct. So you decide to
Zombie.
choose it. The first one.
You might be able to find the cure.
Yeah.
Even if I don't express it, I feel like I keep losing because of my friend.
Second one.
Send them the link to the character tips.
The character has bad performance, but the appearance is totally my type.
Mm-hmm.
Bad performance, as in, like, not good at fighting.
Yes, not good at fighting.
Yes, not good at fighting.
Okay. Yeah, the first one.
Considering the balance of my party, I cannot put them in my
And
party.
about the party, I cannot put them in.
Yeah.
My current
My
desktop
current
is
desktop
messy.
is ah actually it's between the two, but I would say it's the first one at the moment.
Okay, messy with tons of icons.
With tons of icons.
Yeah.
Before getting into a game,
Before getting into a game,
I Search intelligence. The second one.
never played a game for
never
achievement.
played a game for achievement.
Last one, you who
Last
happen
one,
to play lots
you
of
who
games,
have your lots of game.
The first one.
play a game I feel like playing at
Play
the
a game
moment.
I feel like playing at the moment.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, let's see what kind of gamer type you
Let's see
are.
what kind of gamer type you are.
You
I'm
are
a
in
berserker.
charge
You
of
are
Join the
the
ranks.
join the
Yeah.
ranks.
Okay.
So you can read
So
these
you
descriptions
can
and
read the
think,
descriptions.
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
any of these fit you, their gamer personality.
Personality.
Sorry, come again.
Do any of these person or descriptions suit your gamer type or get your gamer personality? Any of these descriptions?
Yeah, I think it's fairly accurate, except
Okay.
that, because those were binary answers, and I think really some of what I am fall out of those two, either in between or it goes towards, or it's something else totally. So, I wouldn't say this is 100%, but I do see some traits. Yes.
Yes, yes. I think yeah. So because some of the questions are like yes or no, but like you sometimes have different options where you actually choose a different path. So I think, and also I am also a charging berserker. Wait, which one was yours, Anthony and Zach? Do you guys remember?
Double check.
Berserker.
Oh, Zach is also a berserker. Okay.
Oh, I know I'm not berserker. I gotta check that.
No,
out.
I think Anthony was like the guardian of some guardian or something.
Wait,
Yeah, I
let's
think,
see.
Yeah, but if anyone is interested, please take the gamer type quiz just for fun.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm the trustworthy guardian. So you can always
Trustworthy
trust
guardian.
me.
Yes. Yeah, but we do. Actually, Anthony, I've seen your streams, and I think that suits you.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I just like
Okay.
to do this just to
Okay. So I think with this week we don't have too many big game news, so we can kind of skip it and then go right into 13Z because I know we have lots of questions for 13Z and Aldric in the studio. So we'll jump right into companion waypoints where we meet the dev. I know some of you who have watched it on YouTube, have probably watched the trailer several times, but I kind of want to watch it with music because I know it had some good music with the theme of the 13Z as well. So are you guys ready to watch the video with music on?
Let's do it.
yes.
We have to.
With the cat being the zodiac.
Hmm.
please. We should
Hmm.
definitely make some adjustments in that
I can see
zodiac.
myself as a panda. That's it.
Yeah, panda should also be added too.
Yeah, I see
That
myself as a panda.
that would be a panda. That would be a panda. Yeah.
Oh, now Anthony's gonna play
Oh,
that game. So, before we begin, Aldric, do you have any plans for making game merches with these 13 zodiacs or the 13th?
Sorry, what is that again?
Making
Would I be
yeah
have plans to make
merch,
a what?
plushies or
Washies or
Yeah, well, that's not really up to me. I guess that's up to the demand. So
mm,
yeah, typically, I think if a lot of people are buying the game, and it shows very healthy demand, I think it makes it easy for us to go to a kind of like a licensing
Mm,
agent
mm,
or some merch company to make those, and yeah, so they could pay for it. Like, but typically, I think it's all driven by demand. Primarily, we our first product is the game, and the game
mm,
must sell well, and then we talk about the rest later on.
right, right. That is very true. That the game has to come in front of everything else.
That was a very boss answer. Okay, yeah. First the game, and the rest is going to be later.
All right, so fire away. I know you guys have a lot of questions.
oh, Zach will go first.
Okay, I know you wrote down so many questions, Zach.
I wrote down about 20,
Yeah,
but I had to cut out a couple.
yeah.
No. So I looked at your catalog and I noticed that as your four games. And by the way, I want to say I really liked your website that you made for your studio. It looks really, I don't know. I thought it looked pretty good. But I noticed how you went from kind of you had two VR titles. You have a deck builder strategy, and then you have this. And you kind of explained it a little bit before, like your thought process on making this one and stuff. Is there which one of out of all three of them have you really enjoyed? Or can you say that you've enjoyed like the most when you were making it, as far as like the style and what goes into it and whatnot?
So I think every studio has a DNA. And the so when we make a game, we think about the kind of DNA that our studio has, and a very easy way to think about this is the so you have the top line people, which are the creative director, the game director, the people that are really coming up with the brainstorming and thinking about the game all day long. Then you have the hands, which are the artists, the programmers, but they don't necessarily make the key decisions on how the game, where the game goes. They make some decisions, but they don't make the key decisions. And we put all this together to determine the kind of DNA, because and obviously there's a lot more weightage on the top level people. And why I'm mentioning this is, if you know the DNA of your game company, then you know what kind of games you are good at making and what kind of games you
Mm,
enjoy making, right?
Mm,
And I think we make our decisions based on like a thought process like that, because we can't just go into onto Steam and then look at what kind of game genres or games are trending, and then we say we want to do that. Because, for example, we know cozy games sell very well, but if we don't have the DNA of a cozy game studio, we just can't go there. Like, it's foolish, right? So we know that our DNA is in action games. Like our game director, Charlotte, he's a FPS fan all his life. He's an action gamer all his life. He likes, like, like swinging swords in the virtual world. And yeah, so do the rest of the top line people, and that we know. Then we have a, like, that's the common point. Like, some of us, we also like games like deck building, other kinds of games, but the heaviest weightage is towards action games. So that is how we determine,
mm,
like, the
mm,
first game we wanted to make was a VR game that is action based, and we thought VR was the perfect platform for it. Because if you think about it, it's like you can go into it, you can be a superhero, you can be anyone you want to be. And
Mm.
in 2016, when VR came out for the second time, by the way, it was, like if you know the history of VR, that's not the first time it came out. Like I think it appeared in probably 1990s or 1980s. Like it came out before, it just didn't take off, and the technology was obviously not as good as it is today. When it made its second appearance in 2016, it was a lot the tech was a lot more impressive. And people were willing to spend $5,000 on purchasing a really good computer with a good graphics card, and along with a $1,500 headset. And that's a lot of money. We knew this kind of players, they were serious, and we wanted to give them an experience that would reward their fanaticity in wanting to experience gaming to that level. And so we thought, like, hey, everyone is making like really really simple games in VR. They are being very very conservative, and we are saying, that doesn't make sense. Let's give them a superhero experience, and we make Siren 2 exactly that, and we call it the Cyber Ninja Simulator.
Mm.
And you can live your
Mm.
dream like a cyber ninja inside that game. And it took off immediately when we launched. I think in the first month alone we made around $300,000 to $400,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So we took a bold leap,
Wow.
and we trusted our instincts. We believe that we had the DNA for that. We did that. We scored. Yeah. If you want to ask me about my second game and third game, I can, go ahead and talk about them. But I'll stop here for now and let you ask any questions.
No, yeah. So, but yeah, no, you hit it out of the park. But I was like, when I was looking at your catalog, I was like, wow, they've done three different types. But I saw that you leaned heavily into VR, and so this last one was kind of different. And so I was like, I didn't know if
Mm.
maybe that was something that when you were making it that you the whole time you're like, man, I wish this was VR, or if you're like, this is kind of a nice little change up, of the VR situation. Now we're doing this, action RPG roguelike in third person. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I guess it
Right.
feels
Thanks for
like,
clarifying.
oh no, no. I guess it feels like, you guys have like a main, like you said, like, you guys all love action games, and then you have like a big theme, and then you kind of make it into different, I don't know, like sections or platforms. I would say, like, VR. Let's try the VR, but then the main theme you guys have is action, because you guys all have passion for action games. Am I getting this correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. You got that right. Yep.
So, so then, Aldric, what is your favorite action game of all time?
Uh, well, it's really hard. The problem with me is it's hard to tell you a favorite, but I can tell you I spent a lot of time in Hades 1 and 2.
Yes.
Most recently in Hades 2, obviously, and I play a lot of Gunfire Reborn as well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I played a lot of like Wizards of Legend in the past as well. Yeah, and I'm sure a smattering of other action games, but I do play a lot of different game types, game genres. For example, I also enjoy Slay the Spire tremendously and Bloodthrow. Yeah, so like I have one of the craziest like game catalogs ever. Like, and you can tell a pattern. I think if you have to tell a pattern, you think I'm like one of those like psychos who don't have who doesn't have a pattern. I just play all kinds of games. Yeah.
I mean, you're speaking to the choir. I believe most of us in here are probably like that.
Even if it doesn't have a pattern, it's a very good and solid catalog. I was, like all the games that you mentioned are all good games, great games. So
Love them.
yeah, it's just like,
And you know what? I know this is a pop up question, but you know how you're talking about the Ninja VR. You know what that reminds you of? But it's not VR. Have you ever played Ghost Runner?
Yes, I do know that game. Yeah, from 505 Games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great game.
I love that game so much. So when you talk about it, it made me think of that game.
Yeah, 505 games.
I think my genre is all over the place when it comes to gaming because my library is huge.
Aldrich, FYI, Anthony has about 20,000 games in his library or
I don't
so.
have 20,000 games.
Somewhere there.
Stubborn.
He doesn't let us borrow any of them. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you include all the physical titles, I think it'll be like.
I also think it'll be like.
True.
So,
So I would notice too in your game, 13Z. I marked it down in the questions, but I don't see it there. I liked how you could tell where you're going from your main character into animals. How did that concept come up? Where you come in, you were going and just turn into an animal, and then you'd pop back up. I really like that idea, and I noticed there's a whole bunch of different animals in there that people are turning to. Like I saw a bird, I think I saw a fox, right? Or was it the cat that was just looked like a fox?
Just look like
Yeah,
a fox.
yeah. The key character is a fox. Yeah, and we wanted to give players the opportunity to traverse across the map in different formats. So you will notice that verticality is one of those the locomotions, the unique locomotions we are bringing into this game. If you are fans of Hades or Risk of Rain, I think you will realize that verticality isn't one of the like locomotions they necessarily have or advocate. In Hades, you're flat on the ground. You can't do any jumping. For Race of Rain, yes, you can jump, but you can like fly. You can double jump. You can like run up walls and all that. And we were thinking, why not? We just have this rebellious streak in us that always asks, why can't we do that? Like, why stop people from doing that? Like in real life, you want to do that. So we want to give people the opportunity to do that. That's always been our rule from day one. So for Sorrento, again going back to our first game, if you play our first game, you'll know that we allow people to do all kinds of crazy shit like double jump, triple jump. Like we're saying, why not? Like just do it. Yeah.
I love that answer.
yeah,
You're
me
like,
too,
just
me
do it.
too. I mean, like, expand your
Yeah.
imagination. It's a game.
Rules are meant to be broken.
Yes, very, very.
And I think too, and as you're talking about how you're very big into action RPGs, and you have somebody on your team that loves your first person shooters. I think mobility in those games is one of the, like, if you can't move during those games, it's not going to be fun. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
It's like picking a heavy weapon during Monster Hunter World. You can't roll out of the way or just get beat up. It's not.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is boring. Like you want to move around and feel like you're dodging and attacking. It kind of gives
Yeah.
you that
Yeah, I think
that feeling.
that's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with that. By the way, guys, I just want to ask you a question as well. Like, can I have a sense of what year you guys are born in, so I know what kind of games you used to play in your when you're very young. Okay, Zach is like going away. Well, I'll start first, right? I was born in 77.
Ah.
Oh.
I don't believe that. You do not look that old, sir. You do not look that old.
That's what I was. I was like, he must be around my age, but
like 34 or something. He's like, yeah, 77. Like 77 of 1997. Like, what was that?
2007.
I'm serious. I probably played some games that your listeners have not heard of before, like Questron, like Karateka from Apple, the original Apple. I I had the original Apple, and we played like Achon and Karateka. I played with my brother, and then there was this game called Questron. If you don't know it, you can look it up. It's like really OG. And then I played a lot of like I think I can't remember, like sort of Aragon. I can't remember the company that make that. It was like the OG King's Bounty, and King's Bounty was before Heroes of Might and Magic. So I had the pleasure of playing a lot of these OG games that I enjoyed a lot. The old Ultima series,
Mm.
um, Savage Empire. I'm not sure if these games ring a bell. In have you guys played these games before?
So I'm the closest to you, even though you look way younger than me. I'm like I was born in 1980, so I have had some of them games under my belt. Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and mute my mic now.
Yeah. Okay, I think I was born in the 80s, late 80s. But my parents, well, I was born in Korea, so you probably know like how strict Korean parents are, like not letting their kids play the games, blah blah blah. Especially when I was young, like they weren't fond of me spending any hour into get PC or whatever computer. So I think my first, like when I was young, I used to play like Sonic the Hedgehog was like one of the earliest memories. I played a lot of like Disney, like Lion King was one of them, Aladdin, Prince of Persia, the and Doom I played. So I think those were the ones. And then in Korea, StarCraft used to be very big. So StarCraft era began. And then there's the whole like MMORPG era where Lineage was a big thing. All these games made by the Korean companies. So yeah, and then Counter Strike was a little bit big, and Diablo. Diablo 2 probably was like my favorite game of all time when I was young. That was like the first game I spent like hundreds of hours.
True. I mean, I was also born in the late 80s also, but let's see. I guess I started playing a lot of, well, like StarCraft also, but I got into so many strategy games and city builder games. So I started playing SimCity, the OG SimCity. I used to play Age of Empires when it first came out. So all the strategy games, because I like to use my brain a lot. So like it's like because I always think, I don't know, that's probably why I like to play chess also, because I like to be strategized and everything. But I still remember that was I think it was I think it was StarCraft or Age of Empire, one of those games that it was my first time playing from sunset to the sun come up.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was playing with a bunch of friends, so we were having the land party.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
know, I was asking this question to get an idea of what games we are all exposed to, and I also want to bring up an interesting fact. If you since we've played all these games before, I think you will notice that a lot of the games today are heavily inspired by games from the past. And a lot of games from the past, they were extremely creative, in my opinion, extremely creative, and they had no there was no template for it because everyone was trying to. It was like the blue ocean. Everyone was trying out different things and thinking of innovative ways to stand out, and they did. But today, you have one Vampire Survivor, and then you have a lot of like VS, like trying to do the same thing, trying to emulate the
Yeah,
same success, and then you see the graph like go this way, where a lot of like VS sells a lot, and then more games come out, and it just goes downwards because like there's so much saturation in that bullet heaven or bullet hell category that it just doesn't make sense anymore. And
so much.
obviously, yeah. Yeah. So I think where I'm going with this is that for our games, in particular 13Z, since we are talking about it, we want to give players something different. We want to cook something different every time. So we ask ourselves, what is it different that we can give, that we can thrill gamers with our game? And if we can't come up with an answer, it probably means that we might not have a game. Because I think all games deserve I mean, all gamers deserve to be thrilled by something unique, something different, something new, something tantalizing. And I think it's not just about the selling point, it's about the unique selling point. Because I think a lot of games have selling points. It could be about the graphics, it could be about, the story background, could be about the gameplay loop. But what's your USP? And I think USPs are a lot harder to come by. USPs mean only your game has it. No other game has it.
Mm.
Mm.
And we ask ourselves all the time, like, do we have that? Are we offering gamers something that only our game has? Because we want them to have that. Because if they have it, they can find it in another game, then it means we are not doing a good enough job of making a game. So that's how we, like, we ask ourselves and how we challenge ourselves. And you ask me about, how why we think about that transformation into an animal. Actually, the roots can be traced back to our second game, Godin Quest, where one of our characters called Ida, she is a druid, and she can transform into a bear
Hmm?
and into a wolf, animals like that. And we thought that that's so cool, that's so dope to have. We showed that in our trailer for Godin Quest, and I think that was a unique selling point for card deck builders at that time. And obviously, this
Mm.
concept is not new, right? Like transformation. I think lots of games have it. A very old game called Altered Beasts. I'm not sure if you guys ever played it. Altered Beasts, yeah. Zach,
Love that game.
yeah. So you could transform, right? And so the roots go back all the way. And it's not new, but I think it's about how you take that mechanism and you incorporate it into a whole new game concept that makes it different.
I don't think I ever got past the bear part though. No, I can't remember when's the last level that I got beat on, but I swear to God, it was probably the bear part because I played that game when you had to use quarters. So you're like, oh God, I'm down to 1/4.
Uh,
So- but yeah,
Did
that
you
game
ever
is super
did you
awesome. We
ever
actually
tie
have
the
it.
string around the quarter and then just put it out?
oh my gosh, heck. That
Anthony. Anthony.
Anthony.
Hey, we were OG hacking back then.
That
Remember
was
that?
But I used
yes.
I in college we used to for laundry. I know this isn't a game thing, but just to tell you, times were rough. But we used to put all of our quarters into a rubber glove, like a medical glove, and we would put our laundry soap on it, and we push it in and hold on to the glove and put it out. That's how we did our
Uh,
looking back, I feel kind of bad about it, but
yeah.
I was a struggling college student.
Yeah, I think in high school, I think I took, I mean, I was in a dormitory, and then the Korean 101 coin has the same like size as a quarter, and Korean
Yeah.
100 Korean one is like way less than a quarter. So we would just bring bunch of 101 quarter or Korean ones, and then just try to use it as a quarter, and then probably those who collected the coins are like, what is this? What kind of, I don't even know what
Why
this
am
Hey,
I?
is.
This is. They probably thought it was worth more. To be honest with you, like this
Because
has got to be worth way more, man. And then they checked it out. They're like,
yeah,
or not.
if the arcade machines takes it, it takes it.
yeah.
Oh, I know you just mentioned your first game. I actually did when I was checking it out. I noticed that it talks about it in the thing about there was some D&D reference in there. Is that something that you used to play a little bit of too, or you have some experience with? Because you're talking about the druid and
Sorry, reference to
when I was
what?
going through your site and going through the other games that you made, and it was that the one that you're talking about just now, the deck builder, and all that, and you were talking about the druid, how it changes into a bear and a wolf, and part of the trailer for the game talks about how it's got, I think one of the people who you had a bunch of reviews popping up of these really reviews of it and how much people loved it. And one person's like, it's a combination of Dungeons and Dragons and this. So, and then you kind of you kind of mentioned a little bit. So in my mind, is it make me think that maybe you played a little D&D?
Well, I don't, but I played SSI games, and SSI was famous for making games like a Pool of Radiance and all that, and that was actually pretty close to
Mm.
D&D. So I played a lot of Wizardry in the past as well. So obviously I like party based games a lot, like RPG. And so this was the whole party based concept for Guardian Quest or Deck Builder was based on that ideology, because I'm personally a big fan of Slay the Spire, but Slay the Spire, as you know, is a single person game, like not a party game. And I was thinking, what would it look like if we turn it into a party-based RPG and we put a deck builder
Mm.
spin to it? How would it look like? That's how it came about. Yes, to answer your question in a long-winded fashion, yeah, I was a fan of, yeah,
I loved your
RPGs.
answer. I was, and I too also deck building is one of my favorite ones. So I totally understand. So it's super cool that you went that way.
Yeah. So one of Ali's question was if will there be a co-op mode for 13Z, and if would it be able to choose two different characters?
Absolutely, you can choose. You can play up to 4 players co-op, and yeah, we would have a roster of 4 playable characters at launch, and we would probably be releasing more characters, most likely as DLCs.
Mhm.
Yep. So our second character that you could play test in September we had our first play test, global play test, and we had one playable character, that's the fox. So we don't have multiplayer. By the way, the playtest is still on, so if any of your readers are interested, they could go to 13Z on Steam to
Yes.
download the playtest for free. And in February, in 2025, we have our second global playtest, and that would most likely have the multiplayer co-op, and we would have another character, and that would be the Raven, and that would be the character that's showcased in the trailer, and it's a ranged character. So for the fox, she's lightning fast. She's a swords woman, and she's very good at melee, but
Mm,
not so good at range. But for the raven, he's going to be flying into the sky. He's going to be able to shoot from a distance. So he's a ranged attacker. So we wanted players to have the experience of having a ranged attacker and a melee attacker, and
Mm.
see how they play together.
that's awesome. So who wants to play with me, Zach and Anthony? I'll be the ranger.
What's the panda going to be when it comes out? Because I think me and Anthony will probably
Hey,
have to do rock scissors for that.
I caught this on the panda.
Yeah, unfortunately, the panda is probably, like going to come out. I'm not sure whether we are going to be releasing him for the playtest or the demo, or we are going to swap out one of the characters and and insert the panda in his place instead. Because we
Mm.
don't want to
Yeah.
give away too much before we officially launch the game. Yeah, but just a little bit of like teaser. The panda is going to be a strength kind of character, tanker kind of character, so definitely can endure more hits, and he's going to be a mid-range attacker. He's going to, at this moment, we are going to
Mhm.
make him a kung fu fighter, because the panda sorts of represents the China, if you know what I mean. And he's going to use the triple pole. I'm not sure what you call it, but basically it's a long pole that's divided into
Yeah.
3 sections. And yeah, so it has more flexibility because you can swing it around like a morning star,
Ooh.
uh and it has more reach than the typical pole, and it can swing around and attack an enemy from like behind, like through weird angles. It could have like very powerful AoE attacks as well. So that's the panda's ability, and obviously he will be blessed with a lot of strength, like prodigal strength. And as for his locomotion, we haven't really decided on that. We are still testing out things. But clear to say, if you've played the fox, you know that she can scale up
Uh-huh.
like mountains and trees. She can in fox form. For the raven, he can just fly into the air, and levitate. For the panda, we're still trying to think about like something really cool for him. Yeah, but yeah, we'll get there.
So, will you have all the 12 zodiac animals in the game, or is it just going to be cat plus some other zodiac or just other animals?
Well, so you have the 12 zodiacs. They are the incumbent guardians, right? So in the Chinese mythology, you have the dragon, you have the rat, you have the ox, you have a tiger, rabbit,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So we try not to repeat the animals that we have already in the incumbent zodiac circle. So we look for animals that are not there. For example, like the fox, like the panda, like the raven. They will make a lot of sense because they're not in the zodiac at all. And obviously we would be including the cat and perhaps some other exotic animals like armadillo or the stag. We could even think about insects. So yeah, here's just a teaser. I would say that any animals that are out of the incumbent zodiac range, they are all possible. They are not off limits.
Hmm.
Nice. Please make an elephant. Elephant. Elephant is my daughter's favorite animal. So just a tip.
That would be very very hard to like imagine and animate, but we'll try. I'll pass this stress to my game director and creative director and
Sir,
let
that's a
them
lot of
stress over it.
screen, sir. Sir.
Oh, funny. Anthony, did you have any questions? I know you also had some questions too.
Um. Well, I actually really enjoy. So I really enjoy the music of the trailer, and of course the music in the game most is like has that um like a fantasy vibe to it,
Yeah, the
like
violin.
yeah, and everything. Because like you said, like how in the back in the days, or we had like people talk about how great the games were compared to now. So it's like going like because me, for instance, I love music from OG games because they were amazing. So did you also like had like a team, or did you like hire outside help to help it with your music for the game?
Y- you know so I wish I had a better answer for you, but the fact is this stock music at the moment. But we spend a lot of time looking for the perfect music to represent our game. For now, using this stock because it's a play test, right? So we didn't really have time to look for composers for it yet, unlike our previous games. But the good news is we have already identified a really really talented musician, and we are going to be like using his works from in the future. We might keep some of the current tracks, like you say. I think some of the tracks are really really nice, like the battle music. I
Hmm.
really enjoy that because it feels like there's a kind of like Japanese fantasy element and with some Hong Kong like martial art, like 70s 80s martial art
Yeah.
movies vibes, if you know what I mean, like a blend of
Hmm.
those, and I really like it. Yeah, so I would want to keep that particular track, and then we would use new tracks from the composer.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I like from watching the trailer. I really loved like how in the beginning it was kind of like total silence, and then the violin comes in, and then it feels like, oh, you're in the battle now. We have to fight. Like it felt so nice with the whole mood of the trailer and the scenes. So I really loved it.
Mm.
So
Yeah, especially the battle scene where you get to see like the effects when you do the moves. Like you see the animation effect,
yes,
like
yes,
the anime style. It's like I love when you see games do that kind of anime. Like when you see the whole waters coming out, everything. It's like looks so cool.
yeah. It was just
Maybe get the RZA or someone from Wu Tang to help you with some of that, kung fu, hip hop music. That's what I always like it when they always added like a hip hop to sometimes to the kung fu and anime stuff.
Mm,
I'm like, it just goes well together sometimes.
yeah.
I don't
That's
know if anybody's ever seen, what is it, the movie with the golden fist or something like that, where RZA plays a guy with a golden arm, Riz fist. It's all martial arts.
Don't
And
remember that
Samurai
one.
Champloo is another one. It's all hip
I
hop
mean,
and
anime music is always great. I always like
Af-
anime music.
Afro Samurai. I
Yeah, Afro Samurai.
just throw some out there. Just saying.
yeah. So yeah, and music is very important for games. I know. So I think I mean it's well blended as of now. I think with the trailer. I mean, so
Yeah, it is.
Whenever I'm playing a game, especially if I'm reviewing it, and the music is horrible, I can't. I have to mute it. I have to mute the music. I go and I find it and I go, and I just, especially if it's repeated, where it's
yeah.
like do 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 do, then a little bit later do 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 do. I'm like, come on, man, I can't. Jesus.
Fun fact, I forgot what game it was, but there was this one game that had no music in the title screen menu, and you were sitting there without no music, and you start feeling like, do I want to play?
Yeah, yeah.
Because like no music in the menu, in the title menu. I'm like, okay,
Is
no
this a
music
trap?
yet.
Is there an error in this game?
You know what would have been funny if they would have made a game like that and then turned the music up really loud on the next screen. You're like, all right, let's. You're like, why? Why? That's not right. Who would do this?
Yeah. Funny. Another question from Ali. So in 13Z, there's the main character Lyra. Lyra, is that am I pronouncing it correctly? Will
Yes,
she
that's
have
correct.
Will
uh,
she have
will she have outfit customization until later when you guys release it?
Well, not well. So I wouldn't call it like full customization. I'll call it like prefabricated customization. We would be able to provide different pre-made, pre uh comboed clothings. Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to mix and match and do your own color scheme if that's what she's thinking. I would call that full customization because that's not really what we are going for. I think we're a really small team, like 20 over guys really isn't a very big studio. If you and we are like up to our next every day in work. And I think our focus should be on the gameplay. And I think for things like that, we categorize them under maybe quality of life or others in terms of priority. I think we'll explore them in the future when we have when the base game is done and done very well. We want the base game to be exceptional, the gameplay loop and everything to be exceptional before we start thinking about things like that. Because without the gameplay being excellent, I think all these are just really not they're not going to like help us sell the game. They're not going to help the players enjoy the game much more,
Mm.
right? So I think our focus is on really the gameplay at the end of the day.
Very solid.
Very good answer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, oh, that's a very good answer. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, the game has to be fun, and then we can think of like how to kind of play around with the characters' outfits or appearances, or I don't know, like skins, I would say, or anything else. So, and will there be a physical title as well? Are you guys planning on that?
Well, I think that would depend on. Well, I think you've probably heard it just now, and it's like the merch, right?
Hmm.
It's really about like how well we do first for the digital sales. Because I think if there's a strong demand, we would easily be able to consider the other things, including ports to console and mobile.
hmm
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we must do very well in our PC digital sales because that's the easiest, that's the lowest barrier of entry. And then I guess people will come and talk to us because we've experienced that with our other games, where they will come and say, "Hey, you've got a really great game. Like it's selling so well on Steam. You've got great reviews on Oculus. Can we license it to make physical copies?" That's how it happens.
Hmm.
We don't. It's not the other way around. If we approach them, they are not going to like bother because if we
Hmm.
haven't chalked up any sales, but if we have chalked up a lot of attention and sales, they come to us. And then yeah, so we are actually passive about this.
Hmm.
We are more active about making this game great so that
Hmm.
it sells very well on Steam. and the other digital platforms, and then the rest naturally happens.
Yeah, if the physical title comes out, I know who's going to buy it. It's one of three of us is going to buy it, or is going to order it.
I'm just here for the merch, but okay.
We know you, Anthony. We know you.
I mean, if the plan is to make 13 zodiacs that are not part of the zodiac, that's a lot of characters. I mean, come on, think about it. That's a lot of merch. I
Oh,
want
that's
to get
a lot of
later.
work, I would say. That's an infinite amount of, and you
Yeah,
see, and
and
then
you and if they get an elephant, your daughter wants that elephant merch.
oh my gosh, you have to order it, and then I'll give it, and then I have to visit you. Or I don't know, I would have to think about international shipping.
You know, it's one animal I would like to see is a turtle. I just always like turtles that can fight.
Like the Ninja Turtles, or
Yeah, but you could go like the old man turtle, like that in Kung Fu Panda. You know, just
Oh, that's true.
yeah.
The turtle.
that's a playable race in D and
Oh,
I know
oh,
I'm the only D
and
and D guy here, but it's a
um,
playable race.
Red Panda. That's another character.
Yeah,
I like. I love red pandas. I don't know. They look so cute.
thank you.
So, like the thing about merch is that the fact is that only a very small percentage of people will convert from your gamers to purchase the merch, because absolutely not everyone will purchase the merch. And there are many categories of merch, right? You have the t-shirts, you have the plushies, you have the, I don't know, like stationery, you have figurines, and different people will buy different merch. So it's not the kind of business typically I think a game developer wants to get involved in, because it gets very, very tricky in deciding the kind of merch you want to develop, you want to produce, manufacture, and the kind of logistics involved with storing the merch, like quality control of the merch produced, and then later on shipping and fulfillment. So for us, we want to avoid that. We want to
Yeah.
focus on making a really, really good game, and then if that game makes sells a lot of copies, we know that a percentage of those people will want to merch, and then that's when either a licensing agent comes to us, or we go to one of them, and then we say, look, these are the stats, would you be interested? And we do that because we know that some of our players will want those merch, and we want them to have it. It doesn't, at that point, it isn't so much about the profit making mechanism. It's more like a way to give back to our fans, and hopefully we can get those merch into their hands. So a lifetime ago, I was doing like cartoons, and I thought it was as easy as like making a cartoon series and then selling merch. I didn't know how it happened. I had absolutely no idea how the merch business worked back then. I was just thinking, okay, you make a cartoon, the cartoon becomes popular enough, people will want the merch. There was no such ideal idea about like conversion rates and all that back then. It was like, uh, I think at least like maybe almost 20 years ago. And I realized that it was a lot more complicated. First, we have to like cough up a few $1 million. We have to find a few $1 million to make a cartoon animated series, and we can't make one season. You have to make 2 seasons. Then we have to approach all the TV stations around the world. You have to get like shown in most of the major TV stations before you can go to Hasbro or Mattel to ask them, would you like to be my master licensing agent, like master licensor? I
Uh
forgot
huh.
what's the term for it, but basically they will represent you, and then they will say, okay, we will take that, and then we will make like merch based on your product, or we'll represent you, and then we will look for other like manufacturers to make merch based on your IP. But you see, before you get there, you have to make sure that you make 2 seasons, because the TV stations have to broadcast your TV series like at least for 2 seasons, like cartoon series for 2 seasons, and that's a lot of money. Like, and if you don't do, if they people don't like season 1, they won't broadcast season 2. So there's a lot of risk involved. Yeah, so it's all really about the demand and supply. So it's not about like we want to make something like people, and then we can make it. There's a lot of risk involved. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
better off like passing this on to dedicated like professionals who know what they are doing with the merch business to represent us and to help us with that part of the business. And for us, we focus on just building for one platform or at most a couple of platforms that we are familiar with and making sure those the products for those platforms are excellent so that our partners can then leverage on those to spread it to other platforms and make them into merch. Yeah, so yeah, it could be a yeah. I know I'm supposed to talk about games, but I guess it's a little bit of insights onto how we view we as a company we look at the gaming business and licensing and merch business on a whole.
Mhm.
No, this is
It's
good.
actually very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Zach. I didn't know like this whole like merch or physical title business. I mean, Sarah from Toge did talk about it a little bit, but I didn't know this is like this whole complex steps process that was going on behind making merches and stuff. Because one of our in Korea a couple days ago or last week they had the Hoyoverse event, offline event, with they have a grand IP. Genshin is like one of the most popular games in the world, and then they had all those like booths. They even borrowed the entire like exhibition hall with their IPs, and then I saw like people lining up just for buying merches. That's like I think top 1%, or I don't know, like 0.1% of the games that are able to just release whatever merch they want, and then people will just buy it automatically. I think most of the game companies, they don't have that privilege or money
No.
or anything. So I think that's very good insight.
It's one thing. Have you ever seen um, Hell of a Boss or Has Been Hotel? Did you maybe think of it as you said cartoons?
Sorry, could you repeat that question, please?
Have you ever seen it? It started as a YouTube series. It's called Hell of a Boss, and it was drawn by a team, and they did so well that it actually got turned into a TV show for I think Prime. Which the TV show isn't Hell of a Boss. It's actually Has Been Hotel. Have you ever seen that series?
No, no, I can't say I have. I think I do remember this one called like Happy Tree Friends, but not the other one that you talk about.
It's made me think about it because you're talking about how you did cartoons and you're talking about the whole journey, but and I know we're just talking about your game and stuff now, but it made me think of that because that girl started a whole series on YouTube with a small team. Of course, it's a really well made cartoon, and ended up getting a show on Prime, and now she's got tons of merch everywhere. But she kind of did the exact opposite way.
Yeah,
But she does have a licensing person for her merch, though. So you're right on that one. You
yeah,
got her.
but I think I mean, I don't know about. I haven't seen or heard about that show but I think it goes along with what Aldrich said, because the show is great. Show itself is good. Probably the people from Prime like approached her or the team and then said, "Oh, this is really
Oh,
good content we want to make it into."
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
that was what I was saying. It was like she did so well
Hmm.
that they're like, "Hey, would you make a show for us?" And then that's how that all kind of trickled in.
Yeah,
So it's pretty cool to think about.
yeah. I think it's not the other way around. So that's good.
I think very few like products they start off being merch unless they are supported by a merch company from the very start. Like I mean they start off being a toy like Mattel and Hasbro. Like I think in during I think you guys will be familiar with the mask, an IP called The Mask,
Hmm.
like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm not sure whether
Yeah.
they started being a cartoon or they started being a toy, but I think some of the toys in the 80s and 90s they start off being toys, and then
Mhm.
they started doing deals um with cartoon makers to turn them into cartoons. So
Mhm.
those two always come about, right? Because you have a toy and then you want to have a cartoon series. Well, it's sort of like an expensive advertisement to sell those toys. You can think of it that way, right? Because
Mhm.
you see the toys in the store, but you also want to see them in action. So kids have that imagination where they see, oh, that's so cool, like Transformer, He-Man, etc.,
Mhm.
etc. And then
GI Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Exactly. Exactly, right. So they come together. So I think a lot of people, when they talk about merch, they forget that you do need an advertising platform. Like in this
Mhm.
case, if your game does really well, like Cult of the Lambs or
Mm.
Cult of the Lamb and I don't know, Hades, you have a chance, a very decent chance of working with a big licensing agent to help you create merch, and then you don't have to worry about that. They take
Hmm.
care of it for you.
Yeah, I mean, go with that. You're absolutely for example, Lego. Lego started as a toy, and then they became like they did episode cartoon for kids, and then now they started doing video games for kids and everyone. I mean, the next Lego video game is Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah. Never ends.
So anything is
Oh,
possible.
anything
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent example.
Hmm.
I mean, Pharrell Williams just came out with his life biography movie, and he did it all in Lego. It looks pretty cute. It looks cute.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know Lego games were gonna be this good. Like what was the latest Lego movie? Lego game that was pretty good. Was it Horizon? No, no.
The last one
I
I think
forget
was
the.
the Star Wars one.
Yeah, but some of those games are pretty good. Like
I mean, yeah. I mean, because they had that I guess collaboration also,
yeah.
where all these big like Harry Potter, Star Wars, or Marvels. Like they
Mm,
had a collaboration, but in the beginning, like you said, they started as a toy before they became a video game.
right. So,
Yeah. Hmm.
if Aldric, if you could collaborate with any other game IPs, which game I would you want to collaborate with 13Z?
Wow. Like I would love to collaborate with. Okay, without considering the suitability, because um we have very different kinds of games in terms of presentation. But um so not taking that into consideration, obviously I'll shoot for Hades. I'll shoot for Risk of Rain. Yeah.
Mm. Hades collab would be awesome. Yeah, amazing.
Hades will be great. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see Hades.
yeah, I can see that too. Like turn it into. I mean, you would have to probably choose like an animal or something that would represent.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like the whole environment, but like transforming into that, and then it'd be awesome.
I think Hades would be very very fun in 3D mode.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it would be fun. I guess it kind of like God of War in a way. Similar to God of War, but like different. Obviously, it's not the same game, but yeah. So I can see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
True.
that it would be insane because you can just looking when you play Hades now and all the colors that are flying around on the screen and the dashing and everything going on. I think it would actually be harder because you wouldn't be able to see half the stuff that's going on around you unless you were looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
oh my god!
True.
So Aldrich, what is like the most difficult part? I mean, you're obviously the co-founder and the CEO. Like, what is the most difficult part of like managing a studio, besides like developing the game itself?
Well, I think looking after the finances and educating your partners and the staff on uh fund management, on uh marketing, on balancing between our aspirations and ambitions and reality. I think these are very important things to balance because I think um a lot of game developers, and I use that word to describe people in the game development business. So it could be a programmer, or it could be an artist, or a game designer. And I was saying that game developers, they are often not, and it's not their fault. They are not exposed to things like budgets, So they might have an idea of it, like they understand. It's simple math. But when it comes down to, like the bigger scheme of things and how you have to plan and project everything forward to make sure that you can keep going, and how you drum up those wish lists, how you plan those marketing beats, I think a lot of them find that information quite overwhelming, or they prefer not to get involved with all that. They prefer to stay in that zone, that comfort zone, which is product development. But I think for mixed realms, I prefer that everyone has a oversight of these things. They must at least understand some parts of it. They must understand how we, like derive our bottom line from the top line. They must understand that there are things such as refund rates. They must understand that there are things such as like different pricing in different regions, and that Steam wishlist is a real thing, the conversion rate is a real thing,
Hmm.
and uh, customer reviews affecting sales is a real thing. And that education is something I do a lot. I share a lot with, at least my partners. Uh, and many of my partners are the top line producers. And the more I share with them, the more I think it benefits the company over the long run. And I can tell you that over the many years, like the 8 years that we've been in business, and this is our fourth game, so you can think about us doing a game every 2 years. It's certainly not easy because we've hardly raised any external funds. We've worked with publishers, but mostly we are self-sufficient, and it's quite impossible to be self-sufficient if you are not profitable. So I'm happy to say that we are profitable for all our games so far. Many have said that that's not an easy feat, because a lot of game developers, they tend to like exist um, due to the uh, due to publishing money. I'm not sure how true that is, but yes, I would say that it wasn't easy. But I think we wouldn't have been able to do it if not for the fact that all of us, at least the top line people, understand the importance of watching our budgets, trying to stay within the budget and working within our means, and not overstretching, not being distracted by glittering shiny objects. For example, like if somebody came to us and say, hey, like, can we work on a merch review? You just have to you just have to like spend some money, and then we will take care of the rest, etc. But all that is distraction. And so I always say, let's focus on the price first. Let's focus on the most important thing. Get the game out. If the game is great, these things will come. They will come. The biggest collaborators will come. We don't have to ask for it. We don't have to seek it, and we won't have to take out a single cent. They will give us the money. Then they will say, "Let us do it for you, please." And that mindset, I think, is the most is what I would say has been driving us forward. And so I'm not sure I'm answering the question, but I guess I think it gives you a little bit of flavor, a little bit of color about my job, my role, and my challenges as the head honcho of the company.
Well, that definitely sounded like a head honcho answer. I'll tell you that much. And a very good answer. He's
Yeah,
like, listen,
yeah.
not only are you developing your people, but then you're also saying, hey, if we do this right, it's going to come back tenfold. We just got to stick to the plan. So that's pretty awesome of you.
Yeah, that is a great mindset. I think that is very important. I think too. Like everyone has to share a same vision. Like we have to share like the same idea where we're all going. I think this is not just for like game studio, but I think like small companies, big companies, whatever. We just have to know what we're doing together. Like I know you're in marketing, I know you're in production, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You do your thing, but we all have to know we're going this way and we're going to go this way together with all of your help. So don't say like we're in a different team, whatever, different division. We
Mhm.
have the same thing going on. We're in the same boat. It's very that simple.
podcasts.
Yes,
Yes.
this goes for us too. Like, we all have the same vision. We love talking to indie game devs and all that. But yeah, so that's great answer. So if you can go back in time, would you change anything or do some things differently?
Do something differently?
I think there's always regrets in whatever we do. And the reality of it is that we can't go back to change anything.
Mm,
So, and I always ask myself this question, right? Obviously, I ask myself the same question, but I always arrive at the same answer in that, am I happy with what I have now? And if I'm happy with what I have now, going back to change certain things might disrupt and disturb what I have today.
mm.
And I think so. I'll rather not dwell on that. I'll rather not go back. And but I would love not to make those mistakes in the future if I can. So it's all about learning from the past and trying not to repeat the same mistakes in the future.
Um,
Once again, another amazing answer.
Yeah, like I mean, I know, like we haven't released the game yet, but like with this mentality of the studio, like this game is gonna succeed, and the studio is gonna take off too. Like if yeah, that's something that we can all learn. I think I know all of our listeners would probably take that away from this episode.
It's a very important life lesson.
Yes.
Lots of wisdom.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any other more questions on 13Z? As they say, or
Oh,
other?
you?
I could probably talk to him all night, but we should probably let him go.
Yeah. No.
How long do you have, sir? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Need to take a day off. No, I'm just kidding. But we always do this. We're like, okay, the recording is going to be about an hour, but then we like end up recording for like 2 hours, and hour and a half, and then we're like, because
And then after we let the devs go, and we end everything, we go into our chat and we go, I miss him already. I wish we could just bring him with us.
Guys, I'm happy to answer any more questions. Or if you have questions on game marketing and game publishing, I can take them as well. I'm not sure if you check out my LinkedIn. I'm also running a publishing company. Yeah, so I could
Whoa.
probably take some answers on that, in that field as well, if on that subject matter, if you're interested.
Um, I noticed that about your when I went and looked at your Steam page that there's a couple games you actually published, especially some VR games. So I was like, oh, they're publishing games too, but I didn't want to bring it up during this because, the boss is looking at me right now. Everybody look away. Just kidding. Just kidding. But no, I noticed that. I was like, oh, wow, they're publishing games too. Because usually indie devs build games. They don't really publish that many. So you remind me a lot of Togue. So that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, actually, to be clear, so Mixed Realms is my indie game studio, and we only develop and publish our own games for under Mixed Realms. I think the other company that you're talking about is Spiral Up Games. Spiral Up Games, yeah. So that's the one where we are a publisher. So you can look for this game called Wandering Sword, Wandering Sword. It's a pixel art RPG game that has done really well, and that's under our like our publishing label.
Mm.
oh, okay. So, running a indie game studio and running a publishing company is two totally different experience. I would say, like, I mean, they're in the same business, but I guess it could be a little bit different. But would you like? Does running a publishing company also help with running a game developer indie studio as well? Because I mean, obviously, marketing and promoting the game is obviously the key factor of reaching the success. So was that the intention of you going into two ways?
Well, I would say that, whatever knowledge I gain from either company, they help each other. It's a two-way thing. It's not just a one-way thing. Um, for example, running a indie game company, I learned how to operate with uh less resources than what a triple A studio would be accustomed to. I have to think very hard about how I spend my marketing dollar, how I reach out to IGN for the expose, how I talk to key influencers to get them to notice my game and play my game, how I negotiate contracts, how I talk to key stakeholders, etc., etc. I have to think a lot, very, very carefully. Um, and then I bring that mindset over to my publishing company. So while my publishing company has a lot more resources, but I don't want to go Nova, and because I have a lot of resources, I'm careless with it. Instead, I use those resources as how I would dedicate it towards an indie game company,
Mm.
and with that I get better results most of the time, because simply because of that prudent mindset, and that kind of mindset where I have to. In Chinese, we have a saying: you use the money on the knife's edge, which means you use your money very wisely.
Mm.
You don't carelessly fling the money around,
Mm.
and I try to educate my guys in my publishing company about this mindset, and which is why we take a very, very I'll say very structured, a very prudent, a very uh, careful mindset, like how we would do an indie game company towards publishing and marketing third party games. And with that mindset, I think we have seen some success for our games. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I wonder why like you're so wise because you, you know how to like manage two different, I don't know, companies at one time, which is ridiculously difficult, and you've managed to do pretty well, or I don't know how well, but like well. So I think in order to do that, you must be very wise and know your things, and very, I don't know, be smart about it because
Thank you. Well, I wouldn't say, I'm not sure. I'm trying to be humble about it, but I would say that, I think with wisdom comes a lot of experience, and with experience comes a lot of hard knocks as well. You can't all have good experience. It's not all smooth sailing, right? You set
uh,
out into the ocean, you are bound to meet with some danger. And I would say that with more danger and more monsters you meet, the I think you just know how to deal with problems better. So I was lucky that I dealt with many problems in my journey as an entrepreneur.
Don't mind me. I'm just writing this all down for T-shirts. Just keep going.
and also for our next meeting, guys, next team meeting, we have to use all these words, okay? All the wisdom
Ah,
taken. I'm gonna write that
no,
down.
you have a lot of really good. Like I would say, you have a lot of really good stuff. Your wisdom, I would definitely say. So it's. I can understand how you've gotten to where you've gotten.
Yeah, totally. And
Hmm.
I keep forgetting, like, I was like, oh, you just said, I've been through, been through a lot of things and stuff. And I was like, I keep forgetting how old you are. Like, oh, how many years have you been in the industry? Oh, right. He told me. I was like, what? Jesus
Because he
Christ.
does not look that old, sir.
I know. That's what I thought he was my age,
He
like
said
around.
77. I was like, that's it. I'm leaving. I can't believe this. There's no way.
Yeah. I thought he was like in his like 30s. I'm like, okay, you had like 10 years. No, he's like, yeah. So it makes all total sense. Yeah. But I think I've learned so much from this 1.5 hour recording. For I don't know. I gotta teach this to my kid too. Like my daughter has to learn.
I feel
You know,
inspired.
I would say, it's one aspect that you talk. I was listening to you talking and how you're saying I got to spend my marketing dollar wisely. I think that's one thing that we hear over and over and over again with indie games is they have a hard time marketing, and it seems like you're definitely got your head on straight when it comes to that portion. So, I mean, I guarantee you probably could teach a couple other companies how this is maybe do a master class on some marketing or what you've learned from marketing and what you can pass on, because that seems to always be
Uh
something,
oh, next business idea. It's gonna be your third one.
It's a complicated topic, but at the same time, I think it can be really simple. You think I I I think the thing about marketing is that nobody can tell you exactly how something is going to go. You can try to manufacture some of the pattern, and hopefully it will turn out well. But sometimes you have misses, and sometimes it will perform way beyond your expectation.
Mm.
But I'll say the one single advice that I can give all game developers is to focus on your three hooks. One is your graphical hook. Do you have a graphical hook? Do you have a story hook? Do you have a gameplay hook? And personally, I found that this formula works, which is gameplay hook plus graphical hook times story hook will get you the best results. So there's a multiplier when it comes to the story. Because if you don't have a good gameplay hook and a good graphical hook, like nobody is going to care about your story, your background, your setting. But if you have like great graphics, you have great gameplay, and then you have a great story setting, that story setting is going to like become that multiplier, which makes your game like really fly through. Like you're gonna get tons of wish lists based on that formula. And so that would take care of marketing on its own, if you think about it.
Mm.
Right? Because if you can come up with like you can fulfill all three hooks, you're going to be able to make a trailer that represents these three hooks well. And that trailer alone will actually get you a lot of like traction.
Mm.
Take for
Mm.
example Wukong.
Yes.
Wukong only ever did 5 trailers, if I can remember from reading their interviews. Their first trailer already got a lot of traction, and it was based on a good graphical hook. Nobody knew about the gameplay, but they knew it was probably a Souls-like. And then they had like Wukong as a story setting. So it had a multiplier effect. Like they did that one trailer. It got them so much traction. Like everyone was waiting for it. Then they launched a second trailer and third and so on. And they didn't have to do a lot more. And then what happened was that, because the game blew up, like they got a lot of merch deals. They got it even before the game came out because they had tons of wish lists. So they went to like Luckin Coffee, or Luckin Coffee went to them. Probably Luckin Coffee went to them. Like all the like merch people went to them. Hey, can we work with you? And then because they knew this game was going to blow up, and then they say, okay,
Mm.
they probably say, cool, you can, but this is what we're asking for. And then they say, how do you justify that? Okay, look at our wish list. Like probably have like
Mm.
10 mil wish list or something ridiculous, like 100 mil wish list. I don't know. Right. And then based on that, they could like get that deal. And yeah, so like for anyone looking to market your own game, I'll say like focus on the three hooks. If you got like the three hooks, marketing resolves itself. Like you don't have to worry too hard. But most games struggle to come up with the three hooks, or maybe even one of them. But you've got a solid game, so maybe that's when you really need help. Like you go to a publisher for like different kinds of help. Like you really need development fund, because you just don't have enough funds to do it on your own. So that's where we as a publisher we come in. We say, look, we can like give you money to develop your product. You just worry about making a great game, and then we can take care of marketing as well. But if you've already got that ability to develop your own game, like you don't need cash, and it's a great game, you probably don't need a publisher. That's as honest as I can be.
Mm.
However, you might want to, but there are some other advantages about working with a pub like us, is that we have very strong access to the Chinese market. We can actually help you sell to China, which is Steam's second biggest market.
Mm.
Mm.
Most game publishers in the West, they can't do that. They find it hard to do that because, like, how do you even know which influencers in China to approach? How do you even reach out to them? Questions like
Mm.
that are very real. So that's where a publisher like us come in to help.
Mm.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and also I
I
think
never really thought of that. The
yeah, I think a
content
lot.
creators in China, like you think about it, because
Yeah,
it's a very big market.
yeah, and I think a lot of people who are listening could learn from what Aldrich just said, and a lot of others in the studios could refer to it. And yeah, thank you for sharing all of your great experience and all your insights, wisdom. I would say everything. And I know we all. I mean, I know that 13Z is gonna fly off. I mean, I know for sure for a fact that it's gonna happen. Yeah, so I
Mm.
think it's kind of like time to wrap everything up. Do you have anything like last thing to say quickly before we go about 13Z?
Well, yeah, so 13Z is on available on Steam right now. For you can play the playtest for free, so everyone is welcome to hop on board and have a go at it. And if you're kind enough to let us know what you think about the game on the Steam forum or through our feedback form, that would be very much appreciated. And you can look forward to our February update as well. In fact, in December we are going to have like a mini update for our playtest. We are not going to remove the playtests. uh,
Mm.
and all the way up to February, we are going to have another major update for the playtest, and that is what we consider our second global playtest.
Mm.
And that is where we'll have our multiplayer, and you can play the Raven, the ranged attacker. And you can look forward to a early access somewhere in Q3 next year, and probably a full launch in Q2 of 2026.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, and we hope like everyone has a good time playing our game, and let us know how you feel about it. And of course, wishlist it if you like this genre, if you like our game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone, go wishlist 13Z on Steam now. If you're listening to this, he's given us enough of wisdom, so it's your time to do your deeds.
Do your job.
Yes, please. Yes. Yeah, I think it's kind of like time. It's the saddest moment. It's the Zach moment number two, where Zach kind of
Mm.
cries because he doesn't want to. We all don't want to leave. We can say talk for
Mm.
I like
5 hours
talking to people who are smart and stuff.
straight.
Makes me sad to go bye bye.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we should probably come back when you have a full release or something like nearing that. I think with more information, or I don't know, we can. I don't know. I can arrange something if you'd like. Please come back. Yeah, but thank you for coming, Aldrich. We
Yes.
will definitely
Mhm.
try the playtest, and a lot of people on, especially on Minimap, will probably play it.
I mean, I just wishlisted just now because I got yelled at. So I'll definitely try the playtest as well.
Yeah,
Yep. Same here.
yep, same here.
No, but I really did
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on. It was super awesome meeting you.
You guys are too kind. Yeah. I look forward to catching up with you guys in the future. Yeah, happy to talk about publishing, marketing, or 13Z.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Hmm.
I don't think we've ever had a show on publishing, just developing. Just a
No.
thought.
Yeah. So okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you like the show, please I don't know, subscribe. And we'll come back with another episode next week, probably. And good
Yes.
luck.
Everyone.
Yeah, good luck with
Thank you
13Z.
guys. Thank you. Cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
You're awesome. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Very
Bye bye.
Bye.
Let's see.
We disappeared.
Yeah.